Phoenix housing on the rise? 7.3%? I know, I must be crazy, or making up stats, or manipulating the data with magic fingers.
Wow.
Yeah, magic fingers.
Interest rates are above 7% again. If you Google layoffs, you're gonna get a ton of news stories and probably fake news stories and everything in between about all the layoffs happening. Not saying that they aren't out there, but there's a lot of things going on with layoffs. The debt ceiling. What if we hit it? What if we don't? What if the president decides not to follow constitutional law and do whatever he wants? Seems like there's a pretty good chance of that. What if? A lot of things could happen. Are we making these things up, or is there data to back this up? Let's look at the data. Jumping right into the information, what we're looking at is the monthly average sales price per square foot. And what you see here is from December to May, we have a 7.3% increase in the price per square foot average. But the data you're probably seeing, hearing, and being told everywhere is that everything is down. For the first time since 2011, 2012, whatever number they pick out of the thin blue air, the Phoenix housing market is down year over year. Yeah, no kidding, it's down. We hit the highest point ever, and it was ludicrous. Zoom in to crazy. I mean, just not even cool. From May to May, we're down 7.5%. Yeah, that sucks. But that should have been expected. We saw all the way from May down to December, we were falling down. What's important is we got back up and we're moving forward again. And that's where I'm getting that 7.3% number from. So overall, yes, we're down year over year, but let's look at some perspective. 68% of the greater Phoenix active homes for sale currently were purchased more than 2 years ago. So what does that mean? Well, 2 years ago, you'd see an average of 12.8%. 3 years ago, 50%, 64%, 72%. 6 years ago, 88.2% appreciative gain. So not all is lost. We've covered this in the past that if you bought last year and you need to sell this year, that may not be a good situation. However, most people that bought last year, they're not going to be looking to sell this year, especially with a 2, 3, or 4% interest rate, because that would be a very difficult lateral move. Only the people that have to sell for extenuating circumstances are going to sell. And that is entirely reflected in the new listings coming to market, which is really, really low. So looking deeper at the active supply of homes, how the homes that are on the market for buyers to choose from. When you look back into December through June of 20 to 22, you can see we had a really, really low period there of listings. Yes, really low, which means that if there's any gain, it's going to be big, which is what we saw all the way up to October of 2022, a 342% gain. But since we're talking year-over-year statistics, let's look back to May of 22 here. We're looking at a 72% gain. Realizing, though, that we're still down from October. And what that has led to is in the new listings, this is kind of that bottleneck that I'm describing here, that if you bought last year, the year before that, with extraordinary rates, you're gonna feel locked into your home. And that's totally represented here in the orange line, that as of May 14th with this specific graph, we are super duper low year over year, minus 24%. Lowest new count in 23 years. Now, I've been saying this now for weeks on end that we're the lowest in 23 years, the lowest, the lowest, the lowest. That's because this line has not deviated. There are fewer and fewer people putting homes on the market, which is again reflected in that active supply, and we're seeing an average 246 fewer homes on the market per week so far this year, compared to if people were actually putting their homes on the market and there were things moving. Currently, new construction is one of the biggest drivers in what's happening in our market as far as inventory. And even they are starting to feel pretty optimistic about what's happening. And I'm starting to notice on a daily basis when I get my MLS updates, more and more new construction listings with price increases. That's not to say that they're not still offering incredible incentives and even really amazing interest rates. I've seen two now at 3.75 and 4.25, but it does show the optimism coming back. And when we look at the number of permits that are being pulled for new construction, that's not a very optimistic thing for us on the buyer's side if you're looking to purchase in this area, or even a seller, because there are going to be fewer and fewer options. You see, when we're looking at new construction permits, we're looking to see how much new inventory will be coming to market. And we know that these permits are going to take on average somewhere between the 6 months and 2 years standpoint, depending on where a community is at in development. And what we see is in 2023, our year-to-date number, 6,550. That's down almost 50% from the prior 2 years, which is a pretty significant difference. You have to go all the way back to 2016 and 2017 to see a lower number. And back then, we were underbuilding as well. It sounds insane to say underbuilding, but the absorption or the number of buyers coming to market, even though that demand is weak right now, is still more than the number of homes available and coming to market. So this is important data to keep ahead of, because in a year from now, we're going to have even fewer homes on the market. That's why it's so important that you take a moment right now and you hit that subscribe button down below on the side, wherever it is on the screen. Maybe you're using a TV remote, and hit that like button. Help to get this content out to more people and stay informed as to what's happening, because any number of things could happen, right? The things we talked about earlier, the layoffs, the debt ceiling, mortgage rates, all of these affect what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the housing market. So it's important to stay up to date on what that information is. And if there's data that you're looking for that I haven't put forth in one of these videos, let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see, and I'll put a video together on that. I will add that data in and see how we can make this constructive to the conversation as to what's happening in the real estate market.
What are we gonna do? I've already subscribed.
With all of this information floating out there, I've been pretty optimistic as to what's been happening in the Phoenix market. And when we look at the 17-city Cromford Market Index, it's looking pretty promising. We have 17 of 17 cities showing improvement for the 7th week in a row, and we only have 2 cities left moving up out of balance into a seller's market. That's Maricopa and Buckeye down here at the bottom. And you can see that week over week we had a 16 and 22% improvement, which is pretty good considering. So things are looking up, and every different one of the 17 metros is on the rise. So let's recap what's happening in the market. There are 2 ways to look at how the market is functioning. The glass is half full, or the glass is half empty. Half full would mean you're looking... No, your screen didn't freeze. That was just my brain. Half full would mean you're looking from the bottom to where we are now. Half empty from the peak to where we are now. So from the peak, we are looking at a $50,000 decrease from these peak sales price or peak median sales price of $480 down to $430. The number of homes selling over asking price, 55% last year, 36% down to 19% this year. The median concession to buyer, good for buyers, bad for sellers, 13% last year, 42% of sales this year, with a median price point this year of $8,800 in concessions. Pretty good as a buyer. Sales price to list price ratio, last year 101.7%, this year 97.8%. Let's look at how things are from the bottom though. We're up from $415,000 median sales price in December to May of $430,000. That's a $15,000 price improvement. Sales over asking price, 12% in December, 19% of sales now selling over asking price. Seller concessions, they were 50%, pretty close to our darn peak in December. Now we're only seeing about 42% sales with concessions. The sales concessions price, $8,847, down from $9,400. Sales price to list price ratio, up to 97.8 from 96.6. And the median days on market, down from 55 days to 23 days. All of this showing a increase in the pep of our market. Not enough homes for sale, Still very low demand buyer-wise, but enough demand to eat up all the absorption or all the homes that are coming on the market. So where does the market go from here? Well, we can't speculate very far into the future because it would just be that. You'd be grabbing out of thin air as to what's happening. We can see with the data right now that things are improving, but we anticipate it cooling because that's typically what it does when it gets super duper smoky hot outside here in the summer.
It's so hot. Why is it so hot?
Our market cools down just a little bit. And in the fourth quarter, that's when we're going to see the rest of the year's appreciation more than likely. If interest rates go crazy, if the debt ceiling turns into some giant debacle, all of these things will have an influence. But I would encourage you to look up how many times has the government reached the debt ceiling. There's some pretty interesting statistics out there, and it's pretty enlightening to know that this isn't the first time. You should know it's happened many, many times in the past. They have procedures for this. Most of this is smoke and mirrors. They're just trying to dissuade the public from knowing the truth. So do some research on it for yourself. Thanks for watching. I hope that you got some good information out of this. Again, like I said, if there's anything that you'd like to see specifically, data or information from our market, let me know. I'd be happy to look it up, speak with you personally, or throw it into a video. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.